Okay, and welcome back to part two of pricing here in marketing strategy. So step four, we've gone through step three, and step three was estimating costs. Sorry. Step four is analyzing competitors' costs and competitors' offers. Obviously, you got to take a look at what the competition has. The only time you wouldn't do that one is if you are the only game in town. You've got something that no other people have. But even if you don't have competitors, there's always substitutes. So firms have to take into consideration competitors' costs, competitors' pricing, and competitors' pricing tactics. For instance, Target has to take a look at Walmart. Even though Target would not say that Walmart is their direct competitor, they are because there's a substitute. Target has to take into consideration what Amazon's doing and things like that. So firms have to take a look at not only their competition, their direct competition, but other substitutes for them. Then step five is selecting a pricing method. And there's many different types of pricing method. Obviously, everything starts with cost. So you've got to take a look at the cost of your product. And then you take into consideration pricing methods like floor pricing, competitors pricing, everyday low pricing, price quality types of references, all those types of things. But remember what I said before. You can't sell below your cost and make it up on volume. Now, for a while, if you're a big company, say a big M&E multinational enterprise, you might sell a few things below your cost in order to get a foothold in the market and get your costs down. Or if you're just starting in the market. I remember Amazon for years and years and years didn't make any money, but now they're making money hand over fist. So those are the types of things that, yes, you can sell and not make any money for a while, but eventually you've got to do it or you're going to run out of cash. So the first thing you got to take a look at, what is your floor price given your cost? What is your competitors' prices? And then what do you have that's unique over your competitors' pricing? Most retail establishments use markup pricing, and they add a standard markup to the product's cost. So if your product costs $10, and you want to mark it up 40%, you would charge $14 for it. Generally speaking, a rule of thumb, that is what most retail establishments do. Generally speaking, their average markup is around 40%. Some things are marked up 100%. So if you buy it at $10, you sell it at 20. Some of them are marked up way more, depending on the product and depending on what the consumer's perception of the product is. Target return on pricing. You set a pricing based on what you want your profit to be. So it yields a target rate of return or ROI on that particular product. Perceived value pricing, we've talked about that, keeping your price high and or low so that people think that it's either high quality and a good value, or that they are getting a good value. The two on the opposite ends of the spectrum here is Macy's. Macy's have a perception of being high quality, a very pleasant shopping experience. And then on the low end would be Walmart. You go into Walmart to buy. You don't go into Walmart for the shopping experience. Believe me, especially not now. DLP, everyday low pricing, that is Walmart. Value pricing are people like Target, JCPenney's, although JCPenney's is hurting, and I don't think Target's going to last either. I do not think Target's going to make it. Going rate pricing is the pricing for, generally speaking, the going rate of a particular product. Many car dealers are pricing that way. Value pricing would be Amazon. People don't look at Amazon as a low-cost provider, but they do look at it as a very convenient provider, and their operational excellence is fantastic. So you select a pricing method. I just cannot see stores like Best Buy. I cannot see stores like Target and those types of Meyer would be another one. Kohl's maybe, because Kohl's has a tendency to be higher value, but they have good specials and good prices on that. But I'm just saying that it's some of those just aren't going to make it. And then of course you have auction type pricing. Ascending, which would be like eBay, you keep bidding up. Descending, which is what's called Dutch auction type pricing. It's when the seller goes down versus the buyer going up. It's really crazy. But the seller starts and puts a product out, for instance, this pen. The seller would put this product out at $10. No one would bid on it. So the seller then would drop it to $8. Nobody would bid on it. The seller would drop it to $7. Nobody would bid on it. Finally, the seller would drop it to $5. The first bid they would get is what they would sell it on. So basically, it's descending versus ascending. I've never heard of it before. And then finally, sealed bid, which means that no one knows what everybody else's bid is. Generally speaking, the government contracts are like this. No one knows what everybody's bid is. You put in a sealed bid, they open it, and the lowest price wins. Additional factors, you got to take a look at how does it impact your other marketing activities. Nike has to be very, very careful about discounting their off things like their sporting goods because it hurts their sportswear. You got to take a look at company pricing policies. Sears, their pricing policy was always to have a special. You've got to take a look at what's the risk and what's the gain on your pricing policies, especially when you're looking at tactical pricing. In my introduction, I said it's a love-hate relationship where people, they want increased sales. So sales managers are really happy when a marketing manager drops his or her price. But oftentimes they are evaluated on P&L or profit and loss, and it kills them when they do so. Adapting the price geographically, pricing. Obviously, things in New York City are a lot more expensive than things here. Things in Rochester are a lot more expensive than in the Midwest. Globally, there's barter systems. There's all kinds of compensation deals. There's all kinds of different things to adapt the price. So here's discounts, quantity discounts, functional discounts or trade discounts. That would be like General Motors giving a dealership incentive to sell or deals off to sell their cars. Seasonal discounts, we know all about that. And then allowances, trade allowances would be extra payments if they sell so much. So that again, given Chevy might go to Bob Johnson and say, hey, if you sell 20 cars, I'm going to give you a discount or an allowance on all of the cars that you sold, but I'm not going to give you anything unless you sell 20 cars. There's loss leader pricing. Obviously, milk. You go in there and milk is sold very, very, very cheaply so that gets people in the store. Those are doorbusters at Walmart and Black Friday, which are just absolutely ridiculous. People fight over them and things like that. I mean, it's just crazy. Special customer pricing, you got to be careful about that because you can't have price discrimination. But special customer pricing would be for GE employees. Cash rebates, low interest, we know all these things. Everybody uses these types of tactics in order to drive sales. Price discrimination, we talked about that. Price discrimination is oftentimes you see it in the housing industry where they will keep the prices high for a particular minority. That is absolutely against the law. And those that get caught doing that spend many days behind bars. It also hurts their wallet because they get fined significantly. So initiating and responding to price changes, you can or you don't have to. I think everybody is responding to price cuts now in the travel industry because nobody is traveling. You've got to take a look and say some people have excess capacity, like in the travel industry right now. Does everybody want to respond or does a certain of the competitors want to respond? And we talked about price cutting traps. Look at Sears. It put them out of business. And you don't want to start a price war, which happens oftentimes around in the summertime when people are starting to buy different goods like Pepsi and Coke. Pepsi drops their price, Coke has to respond. They start a price war. They continue to drop prices. So we've talked a lot about decreasing price. It's a wonderful thing for a marketing manager if they can increase their price, because if you increase your price, obviously you're going to make more money, provided that your raw materials don't go up. Generally speaking, initiating price increases is because of cost inflation for raw materials. Take a look at things that are driven by oil. My brother is a bigwig in the plastics industry. And whenever oil prices go up, plastic is a byproduct of oil. When oil prices go up, he raises his prices on plastic. However, he always raises his price as a higher percentage than oil goes up. So if oil goes up 10%, he raises his price 14% because now's an opportunity for him to make more money. You can do anticipatory pricing and raise pricing in anticipation of people or demand increasing. That happens all the time in the travel industry around Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the holiday that people travel the most. And so anticipating that demand is going to be higher, people will raise their prices around there. In the past, now would be a really high time for traveling because of spring breakers going to Florida. So anticipating that demand is going to increase, spring breakers, they go down to Florida. And now, though, it's not that. And then finally, over demand, we talked about that when things are over demanded because of seasonality or different things. Right now, if I was selling toilet paper, I would charge $1 million a roll, and people would buy it. I just do not get that. You know, we're gonna look back on this, and we are just gonna shake our heads. And then finally, anticipating competitive responses to your pricing. Coke knows that if they lower their price, Pepsi's going to do it. Coke knows that if they raise their price, Pepsi may or may not do it, and they could price themselves out of the marketing. So again, what do? Do you respond to it? Do you not respond to it? Lots of marketing managers take a look at what is my market share. For instance, Pepsi pretty much has to respond to Coke because Coke is the market leader. Coke doesn't necessarily have to respond to Pepsi because they are the market leader. So you got to take a look at what is your market share, how do you do in the market share, and those types of things to see whether you really want to respond to competitors' pricing or not. That's it. That's all we're going to do for Chapter 11. We will see you later on in subsequent chapters.